Petitioners have tried conducted their constitutional to the parameter about that's Mr. Karori, my lords. We do was parameter this petition. We will be answering Mr. Kamau Karori 6 and 8. About the electoral. Colleague Eric Gumbo 2 and 3, and that's about the 5, 7 and 8. The rest of our effort explain that number themselves. Mr. Senior Counsel can be granted in this matter. Dr. Mutumbwa and Peter on this issue, in our view, total EMG report and the alleged my lords, by several was one counsel said, and I quote, what could go wrong went wrong. If that deny that that is true, voter registration, voter nomination, voting, verification and declaration, what would be the consequence? First of all, with the most tremendous arrest by counsel James Orengo, court, my lords. There are no less addressing you. They are no less than this election, and they are no less elected under. When my lords, that this election I suggest with the use of hyperbole. All observers an open, transparent election? No. Because this is a where the few IEBC of the election, it is our answer is no. Mr. with that matter. It's one of the that this court has seen those hyper. We believe there was said several times. Understanding is not nothing of probative. It is that speculative terms made worse. Petitions make great criminal nature from conspiracy to unlawfully influence and even implied treason. A shred of evidence without a shred of evidence. As it relates to before in this courthouse. It is in it was had occasion again to I was in a different office 2017 before you applied for doing a of the polling station that and he was called all manner of has not stopped. What thing, and it is a very unhappy of the commission has a there was Justice Zakir, there was Isaac Hassan. The pattern is the same. None of them has been allowed vilification, process being know the details. We remember the details. There's nothing wrong with IEBC. Very wrong. Accept winning. Wafula Chebukati has done for our outstanding heroes. Addressed by my colleagues of such a character that it falls that purpose. Issue we have a very humble view from the questions the court has asked. Sheets very and those consequences consequences that can be democratic and constitutional process. The court cannot act in vain. That the judgment should read. The court always acts democracy and the rule of law in a practical. So if this election is, you are invited to find, every MP was not properly the Republic of Kenya should. I don't have contemplated the consequences. My client, Mr. Wafula, who enjoys of his tenure, the chairman of Independence, precisely this form, the constitutional office holder in the manner suggested here, and took the phone many times, then did not consult the people who were a whole lot of irrelevant material of interfering with Section 163 of. It is saying forbidden from ever holding power. I want to ask my learned colleagues, is that really a serious? It contains now to be removed here of hearsay on the. I do not think it is a serious not to act on it. My learned colleagues, able senior learned said that that arises from the Constitution. The Constitution contemplates nation will be used the returning declaration is the commission. Commission procure. Let us take procurement. Procurement process is done by when the chairman, the president, he is the commission. Uses the commission. Commission voting, because commission's work involves. I believe that if it will be quite clear Wafula Chebukati was acting commission in the because it is a body. Let us come to this last point about, and I don't want to belabor this point because we have an elected body is on board. The public within the half hour. And my learned colleague will take speaks to themselves. The concerted effort ensure that the process comes without a declaration. So the sanctimonious, pompous of the so-called four commissioners, total afterthought. One shudders. No, called. The deadline called. We then go to, we have a caretaker government, a hamstrung in what it can, because an election call a fresh election. I shudder. Would share. And I want, my Lord, what numbers? This man said, I protest even if the majority. It requires issue of 183, and I thank you.
Have received information is going to present videos and a PowerPoint. 4 minutes, the seconds, and the which has, but just to warn you that that is within time will be taken into consideration. Yesterday, we are very keen.
My Lady, the Chief Justice and judges. My Lady and my Lord, on founding Article 130. My Lord, the reason why we are starting from where my learned senior left it off, 138 were conducted. One man unilaterally tallied verifications that there was a requirement by the commissioners and act with the concurrence of. It's my submission that the reason made is based on a and character of the bestowed on the commission. Who is the commission? And my learned friend, because it is important. IEBC Commission is established under the provisions of 251. The next one says the chair of a commission, the members of the commission, they are to the commission. It is not, but it is referring to the body or under the provision 53 of the Constitution. It's a body corporate with Article 138. The commission, it is that by the provisions of Section BC Act, establishes the Secretariat consists of the commissioners. Then 11.2a is as such professional officers and support staff under this act, and B, seconded to the commission upon its request. And then are supposed to play functions in accordance with the Constitution and in or formulate policy, strategy. Then the Secretariat shall perform the commission and implement the policy set by the commission. Provisions of Article 100, which is at play in this, and it's important to say to that provision is because say that the provision requires to be involved in the process. But what 138.3 presidential election, after counting the votes in the polling, this is about the polling sessions, in tally and verify the count. So this section refers, there are over 40,000. It is not considering the results, the votes, activity, as has been acknowledged. Officers of the commission in the first petition, Lord, the court officer at the constituency level and the and to respond maybe made on the same day will elect is made at I mean, on the same day, it on the doors that has been maximum of 700 voters after the close of voting on the chairperson to within the result of the election. The provisions of Article 138 of the result as was held in the Joho. The first declaration is done as correct that the declaration show why these are a case of minor Kiai. The court stated decision at paragraph 287. To verify in Article 138 is from the polling station to the constituency level. At the constituency level, specific officers whose duty it is separately provided for in the Election Act. This electronic by eliminating human intervention. Now you are being need to be involved in the process. Introduces exactly what the court said in the chain of results and the transmitted ones of the same judgment. This court and then, my lords and my ladies, that was raised that said that the chairperson officer in respect of the presidential election is that this title does not. Lords and my ladies, this is it's wrong. Declaring results, which is presidential election place. So it is not himself who is constitutionally mandated under Article 130 to declare the result of the presidential election, so that the role of the chairperson of the Constitution, Article 138(10), by doing, he's playing the role of even emphasize further in the majority, the decision before generating Form 34B did not affect that the second and sought clarification. This of him styling himself, my lords, does not. The law is quite how he should conduct his lords, and I'm just referring to this because there's no. The chairperson, Scott said that we saw in the rotunda. It says the first respondent must verify the behalf of the chairman to enable, which takes me, my lords and my ladies, to the next declaration of the result, a plenary. And the question that we must start at the Elections Act, there is absolutely whether the threshold, the 50% plus one threshold, make a declaration the senior correctly says. Nobody is saying is wrong, because according to the second was, all that they are saying is trying at the national happen if after the elections have been, for whatever reason, take is that the protection substances we go, of course it is the obligation of the option available to them is to come, that a number of the commissioners can, there will be no declaration of a result. The Constitution, it is ensuring is cast on one person and one part. The Constitution told him to do has been met, and if you are satisfied, Constitution, returning officer from the constituencies, tallying is aggregating, is adding. Exercise was carried out, and that in fact the member exercise by that was being under to extensively to the regular ladies that I hear a person being that of the public portal, it was possible for, and my lords and my ladies, essential ingredient result path that was not followed. Humble submission that does it notice that I do not need to read out to a handwritten document to have been ensuring that if there is any alteration, point, it is also important to note all presidential candidates, their agents, none of them has sworn an affidavit saying it's wrong. None of them has picked a document and None of them has complained. Threw down chairs, as the commissioners. In fact, Professor Guli document showing the injuries that they sustained published by means other than those. The process of provisions, stopping that, preventing the Constitution from being. This chairperson and the members of still turn up and my lords, the second in 2017, this court in 20 as your reason or the non-performance to vote for you in sufficient number. Threaten members of the commission for purposes and refusing to do what they're required to do. The next area that I into, and I will just mention this in passing, revisited that are valid and the requirement for him to verify the day after as to constitutionality cannot affect, even if there is all about it, my lords, that then petitioner has been aware has been used now for the third time. Of the elections or in any way manipulated. This mix-up was noticed. Ballots to have been printed and delivered pursuant to the provisions of issue that requires immediate action. That reason that IBC for decided to postpone the election. These are newspaper reports that have concluded. And so, my lords, this mission in Greece this was an error. The mission that based on what we have actions were conducted in accordance with the provision and that these petitions should be
announcing the first dated the 27th of Hilda Kavonga of July 2022. Which is whether the technology that was deployed those constitutional imperatives. My ladies and my lords, this technology that we are talking about, the 2007 elections, the defunct election, then the equivalent to our section 45 in very loose, perhaps commission shall use technology for purposes of identification because of the inefficiency came, which required then in that one solution we had the option for voter under Article 86 of security. I will take a moment though to consider the disease. I then would want to talk of Michael Ouma, in those three items. Of us are familiar, those of us who have participated in and so, and a vote for so and so. To give us Form 34 remains an authentic. It is captured of accuracy. My primary school in then I must be the first person to be able to again to add to it. Then must follow then should be able to communicate with discrepancy. It does not take magic as to whether Ouma depends in only 200. Even in our it starts going all the way to 100%. As more than locked to a specific station for purposes of is to be transferred, it is not in the form 34A. If it was to be a water pipe, if you broke, it then means you'd not be able to make. We must be able to relate this in the KIMS kit. Of a day. If we exceed the number, it should be very easy to point out to say of what was captured. A good perhaps was applied. Michael O. million hits. Public portal, and that none of the systems even blinked. We want to look at in relation to Article 239 people describes it, to use his words, interference with uploading and transmission possible to system, then it would have been not, and that one would be able, for purposes of a clear understanding, a gentleman called so and so accessed the system because Kavonga, Hilda Kavonga, again, system was not breached. Certification from the National to the allegations that have been made. About staging. So Philip Murgor spoke, intercepted the system, loaded this form, including the KIMS returns. It will, but assuming for one fact of staging, then we'd want to ask ourselves, in time did this happen? Between the time when that form was transferred tied to the polling station up to the second when that form, as an additional, again using my primary school in Member Primary School, I have, in the course of struggling, they make reference from Baringo County. They then say, confirms attached in the affidavit of John Mark that according to him, with the and attached it those documents. Our team 4A, to say the least. The second attempt to study the logs that were presented. From the analysis, these logs (2017) general election, it identifies 9. I want to allude logs are structured using the names of the constituencies. You'll find a name 17. That a little later, which was supposed to now Commissioner Justus Nyang'aya. He then, and that they then interfere the IEBC, the affidavits. Daily update completed. At no point throughout does any of the names of these, like I earlier said, he then on to the area he was presiding. Hilda goes on in her about the Venezuelans. The contract for the supply and maintenance that they had to bring their personnel it would make a lot said that with the system an alarm and say there is not a single form test of ways that relating this to the if at all there was it goes into the numbers. Why numbers, specific numbers, even if the numbers, it can't be a contest doing their legitimate work. engaged in a criminal enterprise. We must have seen it in social media, because people read this sort of does it not province to make that determination? This year, in 20, these things that we do, and one by holding people to account, so that if true or that is falsified, the national returning officer for after that they would be subject, and that ICT team was then confirm those security features. But as they were preparing that error report of all the parties, it is important because the returning officer, and what we are at is the only way in the, to understand the act. No need to go into scrutiny. A forensic audit. They had the affidavits of these three individuals that are uploaded on the IBC. Is supposed to be generated of the process. At the national tally, the verification and return, they would then after the completion of the verification to be an incremental and a few hundreds. It would be chance to do specific assignments that the commission is from 34C. They sit with the laptop and make 40. My learned senior to gives you an opportunity should be able to point you to the fact there's a don't ask for the entire of account in our elections, and because I seek to take my seat, the public and every other person opportunity.
And the members of the West in North Imenti have done is we have gone through comparative data on whether, if you look at the constituencies for 60.29%, I am similar to the voter turnout. It is to voter suppression. Answer is data-based. I have provided. Pokot was 81.44. The vote was 81.44. I have those voter turnouts were higher than the ones which support. I will proceed. I will lead to suppression of voter. I have a guy, which was even lower. It's comparatively that there was voter Kasi South, which is 49.62 to Imara Daima, and in to the allegation that in Mombasa is generally very low, that data almost something that is comparable. The court put out is we provided the 34C and 39C. But there's a very big to the following conclusion. What is the vote? Votes. The presidential elections. Okay? On the stray ballots, when we get is 500 votes. Page 17 and 18. Difference, and the differences can be accounted. We have provided. To the question, the small polling stations that did not report. So we thought the court. What I did is we went and in one of the we got 405 for between the senatorial, governor, have shown the stray ballots will be there. A question was explain that. I don't know. There's no difference between is in our 37C, and we've indicated the question that the court asked for presidential provided to the court. Smoking Wanjala asked, does it valid votes? And to the of course, it's an important issue. using the kit. To the Maina Kiai case, Kenya access of the people has passed by. That information will be collated. So two things to note here. The reporting is done so, for example, the IEBC gave 10, which is the percentage to the total number of is 600. We say the next scheme 400 people. Voters of the report. The 56.1 says on the total registered voters 21,481,000. Reporting we do, that is their contention. That is not the voter turnout of IEBC. Schemes, 22 million. In trying to help the court and actually in the court, that is the first audit. Polling station, you will look at your key, and if there is any inconsistencies between the line. So, in providing an audit, which is both of Michael Ouma in 7 volumes, and I just want to schemes, and that's the table that voters in the Republic, and I